Welcome to our episode 2. I want to show you the key points about cognac making. As you can see, I'm in the middle of a vineyard because, as a lot of you may know, cognac is actually made from wine. It is the essence and the full character of wine that we capture to make a grape spirit from. We need to make a wine that's light, that's elegant and delicate. You cannot make a great cognac from a big wine. Why is this? It's because we create the concentration with distillation. When we distill, it takes 9 volumes of wine to make 1 volume of fresh distillates that later on will become cognac when it ages. So there is actually 6 different grapes varieties to use to make cognac. The main one is Uni Blanc, and 98% of the cognac region is covered by that wine variety. At Ferrand, we actually believe that the diversity is also very exciting. So we are right now planting a lot of French Colombard, which is native from this region here, from a little village from Colombes. Cognac is that region with 6 different sub-regions. The bullseye is the Grand Champagne. Now, I know it's confusing. It has nothing to do with the bubbly, even though it has the name Champagne. Champagne means chalkiness. So Grand Champagne means great chalkiness. So that's the little bullseye region at the heart of the cognac district. This is where 100% of the cognac of Maison Ferrand come from. At Ferrand, we are studying a lot about the local and the regional yeast and trying to study the yeast that is on the grape skin to actually make our cognac from that specific yeast. Once the wine is made, then it is distilled. And let me take you to the distillery to show the magic of distilling. So right now we are at the distillery. This is where an important part of the magic happens. We've seen earlier that we make the wine from the vineyards, and once the wine is made, remember why wine, then we distill it. What do we do when we distill? We warm up the wine to capture the essence, the aroma, the perfume of wine. This is copper. This is a pot, that's why it's called a pot still. This is encased into bricks because there's a fire underneath. So imagine at the bottom, you warm up that pot, and then what evaporates are the aromas of the wine. And they go through the heads. This is the head of the still. And then the swan neck. They go through this, which is a preheater. And then this is a pipe that's like a spring that goes into the cooler. That's the first distillation. In cognac, we go to a second distillation. Why 2 distillations? Because this apparatus is very ancient. Not much has changed in the course of 400 years. So you need to distill twice to get the right concentration. At Maison Ferrand, we have our own little secrets about distilling as well. We distill on the lees. We distill the unfiltered wine to extract more flavors from the wine. Remember, we work with grapes from Grand Champagne, so we want to keep all that taste. So think not about a wine that's clear, but it's kind of milky as we put it in the still to get the flavor from all these elements. So also we have our secrets, because when you distill, you cut the heads and the tails, the beginning of distillation and the end of the distillation, and you keep the heart, the middle of it. And the way you cut your heart, you select what is very important, and at Ferrand we have a way to select the second that's very specific to again get more flavors from the wine. Once it is distilled, it's actually clear in color, and this is what we are going to put into a barrel for aging, where this wonderful taste straight from the still is going to get refined, much like you polish a nice piece of wood or you cut a fine diamond. Let's go to the aging cellar now. Now we are the aging cellar. This is where the cognac rests and ages to become smoother, rounder, and more complex. We turn the wine into a fresh eau-de-vie that's clear, and inside the barrel is going to age and gain in complexity, in roundness and elegance. Now, I'm trained as a master blender and a cellar master. What we do, we choose every different eau-de-vie to age differently, to create different expressions. Let me explain. If you age an eau-de-vie inside a dry cellar, it's going to become spicier. If you age the same cognac into a humid cellar like this one, it creates this very lush, very round cognac. This is something we love, and you'll find in a lot of the Ferrand expressions. Once the cognac is aged, there's the blending effect. But before that, you play with the barrels. You see some barrels like this one is rather new, and some are older. Why is that? Is that you don't want to bring too much of the wood taste, and you want the breathing through the wood. And we lose in that process about 2% every year. This is called the angel share. Costly but useful. And with the years, you'll see the cognac getting more refined and more complex. Sometimes, something we do at Ferrand, we restave a barrel. A stave is one of these wooden planks that make the barrel. So you change one or two staves that are new just to give a little touch of these wood elements. That's what happens when we make the cognac, and many little secrets that were passed on from generation to generation for master blenders. After that, all these barrels are like colors for a painter. We use some of these barrels into a beautiful blend. And you will understand that some are a little more wood tones, some less, some a little spicier, some a little rounder and mellower, and we blend together for emotions. And that's our job. Here we're going to taste, this is called barrel sampling. A good master blender does 60 to 80 barrels a day. When you taste the quality, you make sure that the cognac is evolving the right way. It's very easy if you have a good nose and you train your nose. And we use mostly our nose, as you can imagine, if you do 80 a day. This one is real nice. You can see from the color, all natural, how old it is. I think I know what I'm going to do with this. This is one of the treasure chests. Some very, very old cognac here are sleeping. They are in what we call Dame Jeanne. No barrels anymore, because once a cognac has aged so much and it took all it could take from the barrels, you want to shelter it, protect it for further consumption. In these very old Dame Jeannes are being reused on and on. Some are very, very, very old. The oldest we have is actually, and a few bottles left, is from 1806. Here we have an old one as well. It has been protected by this bottle. You can see again this beautiful color that was imparted by the aging in the barrel. Beautiful. That's a good one. Here we are in a library of many experiments that we're doing. You see, each of these demi-jones contain elements and experiments that we did that as a master blender and as blenders we can go back to. We have here a cognac in a Sauterne barrel. Here, a cognac that is aged in a wild cherry barrel. The barrel is made from a cherry tree, actually. A lot of these iterations will not make it to market, but that's the result of our many, many experiments. As you can see, these are experiments from the past. Well, speaking of which, we have a cognac here that's been aged in a Tokai barrel. So what we would do is bring it here. The idea of these demi-jones, as you can see, they're made of glass, and the wicker around it is to protect them. They are, most of them from the 19th century, and where they've been used over and over again and recycled. So this is a great way to reminiscent. And here we have the indication it's been 17 months. So it was a fresh cognac, as you can see, and has been aged 17 years in a barrel that contained Tokai wine before. And it's actually delicious. Now, on to the tasting. We're going to taste some of these cognacs together.